Hello. For this portion, I'm going to talk about the inverse trigonometric functions. So y equals sine of x is not 1-to-1. Therefore, y equals sine of x does not have an inverse. However, if you restrict the x values in between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2, so that we just have this much of a restriction, this does have an inverse. This has an inverse such as this. Now, what this is saying, the sine inverse of x or arc sine of x, they both mean the same thing. This is the unique number in the interval from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, in other words, quadrants 1 and 4, whose sine is x. Since that's the definition of arc sine of x, we have this case here working inside out. Arc sine of x, this would have to be an x value in between -1 and +1, because we have from -1 to +1. So what this is saying is this is what angle, sine of what angle will give us this value in this interval. So sine of arc sine of x equals x for all x between -1 and +1. And here, this is going to be arc sine of some number, and this number will be generated from sine of an angle. So arc sine x equals x for all angles, all x's in your quadrants 1 and 4. Similarly, arc cosine of x is a unique number in the interval from 0 to pi. So this is quadrants 1 and 2. So arc cosine of x is a unique number in the interval 0 to pi, whose cosine is x. And so this is an angle. Arc cosine of x is an angle. Cosine of an angle is x. This is for everything between -1 and +1. Cosine of x will give you a number, a non-angled number. So arc cosine of a non-angled number is x for all x in quadrants 1 and 2. Okay. Here we have another identity. This is not a big identity. I had either forgotten this or never seen this, but it makes sense. And so we have arc sine of x plus arc cosine of x is equal to pi over 2 for all x between -1 and +1. And the proof of this, so we have arc sine of x. What this is saying is what sine of what angle gives us x. Sine of what angle gives us x. And so if our radius is 1, if the hypotenuse is 1, sine of this angle is x over 1. Therefore, this is simply alpha. And then plus, then we need arc cosine of x. So arc cosine of x says cosine of what angle equals x. This would be beta. We have a right triangle. Alpha plus beta is 90 degrees. 90 degrees is pi over 2. Again, it's not a familiar identity. It was in the book, and I thought it was interesting. Tangent is very similar. Arc tangent of x is a unique number in the interval. This is going to be your quadrants 1 and quadrants 4, whose tangent is x. Notice we do not include the endpoints because tangent is sine over cosine. Cosine of pi over 2 is 0. That would give us undefined. So here we do not include the endpoints. So arc tangent x, this will be an angle, and then tangent of that angle equals x. This is for any real number x. And then this tangent of x will give us a number, a non-angle number, and the arctangent of the non-angled number equals x for all x of these angle measurements between quadrants 1 and 4. So how these work in practice, once you get the hang of what this is talking about, they should come a lot easier. And so this one is going to be, pi. Or we can go 180 degrees. And this is because cosine of pi is equal to -1. Okay. Arc cosine of negative radical 2 over 2, this is going to be 3 pi over 4, or 135 degrees. Don't put both answers. Put one or the other, but not both. And I'm including both here because this in the instructions just say evaluate. It does not say whether to put them into radians or degrees. Now this is true because cosine of 3 pi over 4 is negative radical 2 over 2. Arc sine of -1, this is going to be because sine of 3 pi over 2 equals -1. Arc sine of 0 is going to be 0. Arc tangent of 0. This is when your sine, so this is going to be 0 as well. And this is because tangent of 0 is equal to sine of 0 over cosine of 0, which is 0 over 1, which is 0. Cosine of arc cosine of 4/3. So arc cosine is only in quadrants 1 and 2. This one is undefined because that triangle cannot be made. Your leg is longer than your hypotenuse. I guess this is undefined. It's just intuitively I think of undefined as dividing by 0. This one's not dividing by 0, but this one is also not defined. Not defined, undefined, it's not possible. That triangle can never happen. Okay. 14. So we have tangent of arctangent of 3 pi. Well, this should be the same thing as tangent of 0. I'm skipping steps again. Let's draw a picture. So arctangent happens only in quadrants 1 and 3. If this is positive 3 pi, tangent arctangent 3 pi, I think it's just 3 pi. Yeah, there are no restrictions on the tangent, so this is 3 pi. We don't need the diagram for this one. To refer you back to the definition for arctangent. So this is good for all x in any real number. Tangent arctangent x is x for all real numbers. So tangent arctangent x is x. Sine of arcsine of 2. So this one is not defined. Sine of theta is in between -1 and 1. So this needs to be in between -1 and 1. So it's not defined. Arc cosine of cosine pi over 8. This is going to be pi over 8. Because arc cosine of the angle is the measurement itself. So even though this is outside of the interval from -pi/2 to pi/2, we can subtract 2 pi from this angle. So this is the same thing as because I can subtract 2 pi from it and I have the same angle. So this is going to be -pi/2. Okay. So here, let's draw a little diagram. So this has to be in quadrants 1 and 4. Since it's positive, this will be in quadrant 1. So in here, what this is saying, this is like sine of alpha is 4 over 5. Okay, so tangent of that angle, this is just an angle measurement. So tangent of that angle is sine over cosine, 4 over 3. Because this is just an angle. This angle is alpha. Tangent alpha is 4/3. Tangent of what angle is 1, positive 1, in quadrants 1 and 4? This is going to be pi over 4. And this is because tangent of pi over 4 is equal to 1. So this part right here, tangent of what angle is 1? Pi over 4. So all of the parentheses is pi over 4. And then sine of pi over 4 is going to be radical 2 over 2. Okay, so this is saying what angle does this? Okay, so let's draw our diagram. Cosine is positive, so this only happens in quadrants 1 and 2. Since this is positive, we are in quadrant 1. I need to find the missing leg. This is going to be 12. So again, this is all an angle, so let's call this alpha. So then we're looking at tangent of alpha. Tangent of alpha is going to be 12 over 5. Because there's my alpha angle. So with tangent, we're dealing with quadrants 1 and 4. Let's go positive. It doesn't look to scale, but so if we let this angle equal alpha, radical 3 over 1, okay, so cosine of alpha is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse, which gives us 1/2. Thank you very much. Please go to tutoring.